The topic is the Tennessee Human Rights Commission, and of course we have with us the Executive Director of the Tennessee Human Rights Commission, Ms. Beverly Watts. And of course, Ms. Watts, before we had our first commercial break, we promised that we'd give you an opportunity to talk about some of the issues that the Tennessee Human Rights Commission is concerned with at this point. And I would imagine that whatever those issues are concerned in Tennessee will be of some real concern perhaps all across the nation. So let's look at it from that perspective.
Right. Now, let me give you just a little background in terms of how many cases and things. On an annual basis, we're getting probably somewhere around 7,000 to 8,000 calls. That means that somebody thinks they've been discriminated against. They'll call us or write us or stop by one of our offices and fill out a complaint form on the website. And then they'll come in and we'll determine whether or not it's valid. We'll determine whether or not we have to file it. We file about 700 cases a year in employment, another 150 in housing, and about 20 in public accommodations arena. So that's kind of what we did in 2006 based on our annual report. In addition to that, some things will refer to other agencies. So our staff is always answering questions, talking with the public, determining what, providing answers. So that's one of the big things we do. And sometimes people say, well, how many cases do you have? I said, that does not really document the kind of work staff does. So we do a lot of work on the phone, a lot of information. When people come to us, we'll determine whether or not they're a member of one of the groups they've talked about, whether it's a race issue. Are they a member of that group? Was the decision within, did the action happen within 180 days? And that's critical because we have 180 days to file it unless it's continuing. An example of a continuing issue would be you work for a company and they continually discipline you, and they do it every 30 days. And you believe that you're being treated differently because of maybe your race, your age, or something. And every 30 days, you're being suspended. And that's a continuing violation, and sometimes that will occur. So that means from the last date, it's 180 days. So if it happened to you yesterday, 180 days from yesterday, you could file a complaint. But if 30 days from now it happens again, it will extend it by another 30 days. So we always tell people, get in. If you think you've been discriminated against, report it as quickly as possible because that's important for us. Other things in employment, failure to hire, failure to train, obviously dismissals, any kind of discipline whatsoever, failure to pay in an appropriate manner. And then I think, the whole notion of sexual harassment, equal pay, those are issues that we get a lot of, where there are comments in the workplace about things that some people feel are inappropriate and sexual in nature. So we see a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of racial harassment cases of late, where there are a lot of racial epithets and other things being used in the workplace. May or may not rise to the level of what is called a hostile working environment, but certainly some of the things that will make it difficult for you to do your job.
And so you've got something that you characterize in the employment area as a hostile work environment. I mean, how does that work?
A hostile work environment is one in which, for some reason, characteristics such as your race, your gender, or others are in fact used against you, or negative comments are made in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable because of who you are. People are saying the N word, people may be using the B word for women, those kinds of things. It could be pervasive, which means it has to occur on an ongoing basis, and could be such that it's created an environment in which you cannot do your job appropriately because of the stress, the pressures, and the other things. And it's commonly called a hostile work environment when that happens. One time might be sufficient to prove hostile work environment.